Today we have another young Indian as part of the Voice of the Young series. Hello everyone, good to be with you again. Today we have with us Samarth Khurana, an economist. Let's hear from him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here. A brief introduction about myself. I'm Samarth Khurana. I'm currently working as an associate at Deloitte USA. I hold a bachelor's degree in economics from Delhi University, and I also hold a master's degree in economics from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi. And I'm also currently an FRM aspirant. I just got my result in the morning. I have passed my FRM level 1 exam.
What is FRM? Excuse me.
So it's basically a financial risk management certification that basically helps to get a better understanding about how the whole risk field has been evolved throughout the time and what are the new ways to, tackle any type of risk any organization face. So
who runs this test?
So it's an US certification. So I'm not sure if you heard of CAR. So that's an international certified organizations health exam. Like you might have heard of CFA, right?
Yeah.
CFA, yeah. So that's kind of like CFA is more generalized. FRM is more really concerned towards the financial risk part of the things. Because I work in a finance industry and most of my work is in financial risk and project management. So it is better aligned to my sort of goals and currently industry that I work in.
So you study on your own, is that it?
Yeah. It's just like, you need to study on your own.
Did they tell you what to study or you just find that out?
Yes, they do have a sort of specified curriculum. Yeah. They do provide books as well. So, but I guess those books do not really, so they prepare you to a minimum level, but it depends upon the individual to go beyond a particular line and make an effort to understand the concepts clearly, because the questions that are asked in an exam are entirely on conceptual basis. So you need to be thorough with the concepts and able to sort of conceptualize it in a sort of a real world scenario so that you can tackle that issue. So that's where the exam gets.
So they are not multiple choice, or are they?
Yeah, there are multiple choice, but they are contextual. So that's what really makes the exam difficult.
Okay, fine. All right, good. So you passed level 1. How many more levels to go?
2. There are only 2 levels. So I passed 1 and I'll be sitting for 1. Hopefully this year, next year, let's see how that
goes. Wonderful. Because, this whole business of financial risk needs to be better understood by everybody. And fortunately, it is often neglected. So I'm really happy to hear that young people like you are aware of this situation and you are actually studying to understand what it is, how to allocate it, and so on. So it's a very important field as part of our financial system in India for people to actually allocate risks in the right way. So sorry to interrupt, but please go ahead.
So yeah, like I've done FRM. I'm doing FRM right now. Apart from that, I grew up in Panipat. I was born and brought up in Panipat. I did my schooling there. After that, I moved to Delhi to do my bachelor's in economics. That was quite an experience. Like coming from such a small city into Delhi was, I don't know, like it was cool for a small guy to be there. But I would say like I did waste a lot of my time, like we were talking earlier about, right? Not going to the classes too often, just lying out there and hanging out with friends. But that's something I guess had its own advantages. I made a lot of good relationships back then. A lot of friends. I guess those things I'll carry throughout my life. Post my undergrad, I didn't really have plans to pursue masters immediately. I wanted to work a few years and then maybe pursue masters abroad. But the condition as it was I guess I graduated in 2020. That was the peak COVID time, and my job offer got rescinded at the point in time. So in the nick of the time, like I remember it was just a month away from the entrance exam that we have in our country. So hoping for the best, and I sat for a few exams and was able to clear a few as well. So I had a few options under my belt by the time it was time for getting admissions in the universities. I was able to secure a seat in IIFT Kolkata, not Delhi. But as it happens, within a few months, within 1 month, I got a call from IIFT Delhi that they have a vacancy. A seat got vacant, so I was given the opportunity to move to IIFT Delhi. So I guess I've been, like I said, I have been lucky all my life. I have been I don't know what it is, but I've been lucky. Like I was able to get that opportunity as well. I moved to IIF Delhi, and IIF Delhi was kind of a game changer for me. Met some really amazing people, really amazing professors. They really helped me out in terms of research and sort of scaping out all the public policy areas. I met Badrisha through IFT only. Like one of my professor introduced me to him, and he has been a lot of help since then. I'm still in touch with one of my professor, and my dissertation paper that was titled that I did on determinants of inflation in India is due to be published next week. So
Wow.
hopefully
Okay.
by the end of this month, that paper will also get published. I just sent the final draft yesterday. So hopefully that will also get published in another 10 days. So yeah, I wouldn't have done it without the help of my professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily I got placed in Deloitte USA.
Yeah.
But
Wait
that
a
was
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
sure.
Stop saying you are lucky. Okay.
No, but yeah, I feel like
Stop saying you are lucky. Okay. Yeah,
no,
actually, you are hardworking and motivated. You
I
know.
understand that, but I guess opportunities have been such like like I don't know like how to express that, but I guess opportunities do come to you. It's up to the individual to make the most of it. And over the past few years, I have tried my best to sort of utilize each and every opportunity that I've get to the maximum, and that has really worked for me, and hope to do that continuously from here as well.
Yeah, you don't get 2 published papers because you are lucky.
Yeah, that's also true.
There's luck is not having published papers. You have one with Badrinath Gopinath,
Yeah,
really his full name, and another one. So that's not luck. Okay, nobody gets that by luck. It's not
yeah,
like
that's
one day you wake up and write something and they publish it.
yeah, that it takes a lot of effort to write a
It takes
paper.
a lot of effort.
Yeah.
All right, so let's continue.
I was the first one placed in like, the first company that arrived to my campus for Deloitte USA. So I was the first one individual who got placed. So Deloitte was kind of a new thing for me because prior to that, I have been working in public policy space. I worked with CCS, I worked with CPPR, I worked with Government of Delhi. So all the work that I have done till that date was entirely focused on public policy, macroeconomic thoughts, and uh, sort of yeah, mainly that was concentrated on macroeconomics and public policy only. But getting into corporate and getting into the financial risk aspect of things was completely new for me. But I kind of like that challenge. I
And
had
you
a
like
few.
the money too, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's come with own benefits. But yeah, that helps. That really helps. But yeah, I've been interested in finance for quite some time. I had a few papers in my master's as well. That really helped. Uh, but coming into the corporate, it's entirely different scenario. So that was one of the reason for me to pursue FRM, because I still felt there's a lot needs to be learned, and I feel like learning continues, right? As you keep growing, um, it more area keeps getting developed, and it's upon the individual to keep upskilling, whether it's in any field in public policy or for that matters in a corporate. So that was my one of the reason to understand how this whole risk and finance area works, to understand all the derivatives and the jargons to be able to better deliver to my job.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was one
The
of the
jargon
motivations.
is so thick. The jargon
Yeah,
is so secretive, but it has all
jargon.
got meaning. And a jargon is jargon, but people can't understand it. But once you understand it, it makes sense that it's the way it is. Okay. So I'm glad you are, of course, if you passed FRM1, you are pretty much into the jargon now.
Jargons, I mean, it's fine, but I mean, you'll agree with me on this point. Like, it's important to derive the rational. Like, we can have the results, right? We can run a regression and we can do all sorts of modeling and get the results. But the main part that comes to it, how are we going to like make sense out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's not always you'll get a result that matches your theoretical understanding, right?
Yeah.
That's the part that I find like is the more challenging one. Like obviously I can learn how to run sort of linear regression, logistic regression, even when it comes to AI and ML, right?
Yeah.
Those codes and running the model is not that difficult. Like you'll get the codes online, but when it comes to explaining your results, like how one arrives at results, and
Yeah.
how does that if at all it differs from the theoretical concept, then how do you explain that thing?
Yeah.
So that is something that I feel like is very important. And that was kind of my motive to understand, like, if a particular instrument or a derivative has been behaving in a certain way,
Yeah.
then what is the rationale behind it?
Right.
How do we make sense out of it, and how do we control that?
Right.
So that's kind of like that's one of the reasons that I'm interested in economics. It's all about sort of connecting dots, right? If inflation is rising, what can be the reason about it? Like, what are the
Yeah.
factors that we can sort of figure out,
Yeah.
and what things can we jot down and try to control so that we have low inflation, I guess. So that connecting of dots is what brought me real close to economics, and that is continuously taking me towards in the field of finance as well, trying
Yeah.
to figure out how things work, and how can we sort of better accommodate those things. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about the future?
Future, like, I'm not sure. Like, don't really want to go too ahead into it. At this point, I'm just open to any opportunities that I get. I have had exposure to a lot of things in public policy space, and I have thoroughly enjoyed that. I have just started, like, last year only. I started working at Deloitte, and I just really introduced to this financial space, and I'm looking forward to explore that as well. Like, I think it will take like another year for me to completely understand how all these things works and what futures I can expect being in a financial space. So even within Deloitte, like, I am a part of multiple teams. I'm currently working on model validation. I'm working on project management, product management, sort of. Um, so I'm trying within Deloitte itself. I'm trying to work on different multiple things, to explore like what really fits me and what I am interested in doing. Like, I guess the exploring is still on for me, and hopefully
Yeah.
like, I'll be able to figure that out. But yeah, I guess that goes on like as you move ahead. So yeah, let's just concentrate on exploring more and absorbing as much as I can, and then I guess it will all fall in line.
Okay. Well, let me give you a thought.
Yeah.
For me, finance is a key part of public policy now.
Right.
It's not really understood, but for example, now I've talked to some people a few days back, yesterday also. Finance is critical for climate change.
Right.
People are using carbon credits, and that needs financing. This all ultimately a financial mechanism to enable climate change projects, right? And then not only are we talking about climate change, like mitigation, like solar and wind, we're also talking about adaptation. And that will also require financial innovation. The agriculture sector, we're talking of fintech here, ag tech plus fintech, and that without that ag tech and fintech, Indian agriculture will remain where it is, pretty stagnant, with 14% to GDP and 40% of the labor force, which is not workable. So we need the fintech in the financial sector, and we need the fintech in the medium and small enterprises, because they cannot access equity, for example. I mean, people talk only of debt, but they also need equity infusion because they cannot put up the equity themselves. And, like Kiva.org is in US, and you can give some money and they give it to people in Africa to invest in their companies. So that's equity. So we need to think about, that's what I wrote in my book, that we need to think of financial sector development in India. Government's a bit slow on it, RBI is a bit slow on it, but the private sector has to move ahead and find ways to allocate risk, which is inherent in ag and it's inherent in the medium and small micro enterprises. So the risk has to be allocated in a way such that Indian savers can park their money in those places. Like, even startups are taking money from abroad.
Right.
Why are they running abroad? They are not earning in dollars, they are selling in rupees. and they're getting invested in dollars. That's because the Indian financial system doesn't have the instruments by which average person who has got some savings can actually finance on a basis that the risk is taken down and others are sharing the risk, so that the Indian startups could be funded by Indian savings rather than having to run to USA and Singapore and so on. It's just a bit, let us call it shameful, that Indian money and smart people like you who understand financial risk should in some years be able to create instruments that are understood by Indian savers, whether they're institutional or personal, so that they can put their money in a sort of high risk, high return venture, right? But not super high risk. So somehow that risk has to be allocated to others, and perhaps some, whatever it is, that I'm no finance expert.
Makes sense, yeah.
You will be. So I'm saying that, finance is actually not separate. Of course, finance by itself for corporations and others is certainly not public policy, but there are parts of finance which are critical to public policy. Ag, small enterprises, even housing loans, that has to be, I mean, we are doing housing loans, but the tenure is still short. And it's not like 20 years, you can only get 10-year loans. Why the heck can't we have instruments that understand this? So anyway, let me not talk more. Let me just leave this thought with you, that public policy is not just about macro, it's about making everybody inclusive in a sophisticated financial system. So that's sort of the target for the next 15 years for someone like me. That's what I wrote in my book, that look, without it, you will get, somebody has to buy Air India. It can only be the 2 or 3 big companies because they have the finance. Anybody else, you just can't get that money to buy Air India when it is auctioned. So we keep getting this kind of concentration of power. I'll give you a personal example. There was a person I know very well, and he came to my home, and one day he said, listen, I'm setting aside 10 crores of rupees for my son to do business. I said, wonderful, good for you. But in my mind, I thought, what about the equally enterprising person whose father doesn't have 10 crores?
Makes sense.
And there's no, and perhaps even more enterprising, but that person has no place to get 10 crores.
Right.
And that's because the finance system just rejects risk.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that point. That's a fair point that you make, right? We need to have systems in place that provides like equal access to finance, I would say, to each and everyone, irrespective of their backgrounds.
But you can't just say equal access, because the risk is key in it, right? The risk is there, right? So
those things can be balanced, like maybe in future, I guess there are things in place as well, like you charge higher interest rate from a risky investor than a lower interest rate from a I would say low risk investor, right? Low risk borrower.
So work it out, guys. Work out the instruments by which the risk is shared, okay, between the average Indian saver and the high risk people who can take a high level of risk in return. So parcel out the risk in a day. You can't reduce the risk, okay? The risk is there. The risk is there. The only thing is, can you slice and dice the risk so that different people actually are financing the same person, and they can't actually finance the same person, but they can finance the same pool. Right? The same pool of borrowers or the same pool of promoters. And through a slice and dice, we used to talk in 2008 that this whole slicing and dicing was terrible. But, that's the way to do it. Anyway, it's me talking too much. I just want to give you that thought that, look, don't give up on public space, public policy, because finance is the next barrier, okay? Technology and finance are the new barriers to growth in India. And
no, I'm very much interested in public policy. Like I've been working on the paper since my graduation,
I know, I
and
saw that, right? So,
yeah,
but
so
instead of for figuring out the determinants of inflation,
yeah,
you can figure out a more forward-looking thing like, okay, how can I allocate risk in ag?
right,
How can I allocate risk in MSMEs for, say,
mm,
HDFC, okay, or
right,
ICICI, the large banks? What sort of instruments can we have so that they
hmm,
can actually take their depositors' money and lend it out and share the
right, makes
risk,
sense.
share the risk with us. Anyway, sorry to talk so much, but this is
No, it's fine. Like I really enjoy your train of thoughts. Like it's something new, it's
yeah,
something different, something that needs to be talked about. But I guess
yeah, and yeah. We're
the
going
whole
to
mindset. Yeah, go
say,
ahead.
otherwise we end up doing solar farms only by people with access to a lot of
Yeah,
money. Okay, they're doing
right,
balance sheet finance, or they are able to borrow on just their own internal money they have, or balance sheet
right,
finance. Anybody trying to do it on project finance is not going to succeed. So
right.
we get the inequality coming out of it.
Makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add? I'm sorry to talk so much. It's
No,
supposed to
no,
be your
nothing.
show. Right.
No, it's fine. It's completely fine. Like
Okay.
it's
All
a
right.
great thought that you have put forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, something needs to be taken care about that, that's like you mentioned, like something that we need to look at from a future perspective.
Yeah.
15 years down the line, the things should be better in a way, but I feel like the whole sentiment around risk remains to be like on like for the financial industry remains to be a risk averse. Like a few of if you like there were a few financial innovations back in 2000, but then that eventually led to the financial crisis, right? One of the major reasons
No, no,
that happened.
I'll leave that to you. You are the
Yeah,
experts. Okay. You figure it out. Okay. I
yeah,
am not the guy who can figure these things out. I'll leave it to you as to what can be done and what cannot be done. But some
right.
small changes
Yeah,
definitely
that
are
needs to be
needed.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, nothing else.
Okay, then let's end this thing here, and
Sure.
maybe we'll come back to you in a year to see where you are, how things are going. All right. Okay, so
I'm
let's say
looking
bye
forward
to
to it.
our viewers. Bye, everybody.
Thank
I'll
you.
be
Thank
back
you.
with another young person soon, and with also experts soon. Bye bye.
Bye.